Okay, thank you everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to participate in today's LTCT meeting. Hopefully it'll be a short meeting, but then we do have some important updates that I want to share with everybody and to discuss. And without further ado, we'll dive right into it. There was some confusion as to the date, so here's the next meeting dates: February 19, May 14. And what I think I'll do is I'll send a meeting invite to my listserv, and I'll put where you don't have to respond, so it'll just be on your calendar, the meeting invite with the technical information. I think I'll do that so that there's to alleviate the confusion and for my sanity too. So yeah, sorry about the confusion for last week and today. So the next meeting is February 19 and May 14. Agenda items. Oh shoots. Okay, so I will also be keeping an eye on the chat, so feel free to send messages via chat if you want. But for right now, everyone is muted, and when I'll unmute everybody too. For those of you that don't know, my name is Sam Cole. I'm with Oregon Department of Ed. I'm within a unit called Education Programs, and within our unit we have programs for county detention centers, OIE youth correctional facilities, Department of Corrections, hospitals, the pediatric nursing facility, and day and residential treatment programs. I think that's all of our education programs in our unit. And in our unit, we have Adam Henning and we have Julie Clements, and then we work very closely together. So if I'm ever unavailable, you can contact Adam Henning, and if Adam Henning is unavailable, you can contact me also. Now, I'm going to unmute everybody to give everybody an opportunity, whoever wants to share how things are going in their neck of the woods. I'm going to unmute everybody. Everyone's unmuted. Does anybody share how things are going in their LTCT site?
And this is Candace at the Child Center. We've been doing well. We've had kids on campus since July, except for the fire time and, you know, some other odds and ends. But we've had just one case of COVID, and it was a staff person and who quarantined, who tested positive and then stayed out. We worked with Lane County Public Health, who did the contact list, and that all went very, very smoothly. As everyone knows probably that's around the state, Lane County has suddenly really jumped up in the amount of numbers every day. So I was on a meeting yesterday with Lane County Public Health and Lane ESD talking about the numbers and what decisions will be made. And right now, because we're already operating at our site under our blueprint and following all the protocols, then unless we start getting a number of cases among the kids, we'll be allowed to stay open unless the governor goes on a complete freeze and shuts everything down. So right now we're doing pretty well. We're very diligent about all of the protocols and masking and distancing, small class sizes, and it can be done. It just, unfortunately, the case that came in with the staff person was someone who had gone on vacation right before they came back. So, and luckily was not on campus when they were sick, except one day. So anyway, that's how we're doing. Everything's fine so far.
Thank you, Candace, for the update. I'm glad to hear that everything has resolved itself and the safety protocols and the contact tracing work smoothly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to share?
I can share. This is Laura from Coos Bay with the Kairos Day Treatment. The things have been going fairly well for us. I think we're all really wishing that the numbers would go down because we know we can't really serve our 4th and 5th graders right now at the elementary program. And if we try to bump them up to our middle school room, we have to get a special exception. So that's been a little tricky. Both of our programs have had kind of minor COVID scares and we've shut down temporarily, but none of the youth have actually gotten ill. So that's been great. Other than that, we just kind of keep trucking on. It's been an interesting year.
Thank you, Laura. Anybody else want to share?
It sounds like I may be the only one that's in a complete comprehensive distance learning situation, but I got to say that's not the most conducive methodology for instructing these kids. So we're struggling with that. Looking forward to opening in some degree, but that's not going anywhere fast over here in the gorge.
This is Kathy Wright from the LTCT program in Corvallis. We're on the children's farm home site here, and we have been in distance learning since March. So I hear you. We're in the same situation, and it is pretty difficult. But I will say the teaching staff here is strategizing. It seems like minute by minute to kind of engage kids. So we've had some success, but we cannot wait to get back face to face.
This is Max Whitehouse in Portland Art School, and we're in the same boat. Distance learning, teachers are zooming in, staff are in the classroom supporting, and it's challenging. We're having a hard time as well. But it's exciting that the kids are in school and they're doing their best. We're ready to be back in the classrooms.
This is Sarah with the High Desert ESD and the new Trillium program. We'll have the construction is finally done, and we'll have our first student start next week and then a second student start the following week. So we're excited to get up and running.
Thank you, everybody. Does anybody else want to share? Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing, people. Yes, I'm glad that and it sounds like people have, although there's some obstacles and there's some the recognition of, you know, the not the best conditions, but it seems that people are making do and they're striving to overcome those obstacles and doing the best that they can for our kids, so that, you know, they can return to their neighborhood K-12 schools and be educated and receive the treatment. That's great. So I'm going to mute everybody to alleviate and minimize the background noise. And I have to apologize. There might be background noise on my side because I'm in a family room. I don't have a study or den just for myself. So so hopefully the background noise on my side will be minimal. Next item is on our agenda, review the Title I items that are due in December. And on the first thing that is due is I need the student name and the SSID for the kids that are on May 20 enrolled, not attended, but enrolled on that date, and the number of school days that they operated last school year. And the reason why I need the name and the SSIDs are kids cannot be double counted. So on subpart 1 and subpart 2. So that's why once I have all the names for LTCT and we have all the names from YSEP for subpart 1, those names are cross-checked with subpart 2 names, and to be sure that there's not a duplicate like a kid doesn't show up on both subpart 1 and subpart 2. And if there is a situation where a kid is both on subpart 1 and subpart 2, subpart 1 will get the credit for the kid, not subpart 2. The way the law is written, subpart 1 has priority over subpart 2. So this is what is due on December 7th. And the next item that is also due that following week is the spreadsheet. Oh, not this one. I hope I launched it. I think here it is. The annual CSPR. CSPR stands for Consolidated State Performance Report. And this is the report that asks for average length of stay, the total unduplicated, the number of kids by ethnicity, gender and age, and so forth, and these other questions. And the pre and post test. And this is a federally required report that is due every year. And this is a report that we submit to USDOE, and then USDOE then uses in their report to Congress on why, Title 1D is still necessary. And of note, the yellow has to match up. If you have 100 here, these yellow sections should also be 100. Like if you have 100 total kids, the total number of by gender should equal up to 100. The total number of kids by age should equal up to 100, and so forth. And I'm going to unmute everybody. Does anyone have any questions on anything, on any of this? Okay, no questions. Okay, I'm going to meet everybody again. Okay. And the next, so the next item on our agenda item is our application status. It is still being reviewed. It's like, oh my gosh, they're dotting all the I's and all the T's. And um, I'm gonna pause right now because just received an email from an LTCT person saying that they're requesting the link. So I'm gonna send the link to them right now. Because the person wants to participate. And is asking for the link to log on. Okay, so application is still being reviewed, and if we have the funding to add new programs, it'll be for the 22-23 school year. And it kind of ties into number 6, our legislative concept. So I'll just go into that right now. And this is what is approved from ODE side. Are all of our LCs and legislative concepts and POPs. LCs are generally language change to statute, and POPs are policy opposite packages, are asking for additional funding or new funding. And then, so here, these are approved, but then from here, we have to wait and see what makes it into the governor's recommended budget, which will be released in the first week of December. And because we are an agency with under the governor, whatever the governor puts into her budget, we have to advocate for, or we have to. That is our budget that we stand by. So if the governor doesn't have YSEP and JDEP funding, or if they don't have the LTCT funding and LC, we have to stand by it. And then, but then that doesn't mean school districts and ESDs on their own and providers could lobby on their own, but we have to follow whatever the governor says. So these are the POPs and LCs, and I'm going to put up the language that we had for our LTCT. And for those of you that missed the first session, our first meeting is, and the words in bold are addition, and the words in italics are like deletions. So here, for the definition of eligible day treatment, they only had OHA, but we're asking to add DHS and Oregon Youth Authority here. to delineate the funding. Payment for the cost of education shall be based on ratio of staff to students as determined by the minimum staffing level. And here, the thing about transportation, previously it said don't include transportation fare treatment except as provided of this section. So school districts now, because it wasn't listed, when the resident school district provides transportation to the day treatment, we're asking the legislature to allow the resident districts to get reimbursement for the transportation costs. And here we're deleting some of the other stuff. And I'm going to unmute everybody so for questions or discussion. Any questions? No questions? Okay. So then next, the funding outlook for, and I'm going to mute everybody. So as I mentioned, the funding outlook for 21-23 will depend on the governor's recommended budget, which will be released in early December, and of course, what the legislature states, and so forth. And here's this. So emergency fund for the 1921 biennium. When I calculated the contract agreement amounts for 2021 by OER, I'm supposed to withhold 5% for the emergency fund for unexpected emergency requests. But for this year, what I decided was, when I looked at the past history, not that many people access the 5% emergency fund. So I decided to use the emergency fund and add that into the 2021 allocation. So the emergency fund is tapped out. I didn't reserve anything. So if you apply, I'm gonna have to say no. Our funds are gone. And if you think about it, if we send it about $20 million per year, and if I had withheld 5%, that would have been $1 million withholding from the sites. So that's why I decided to use it all up to help alleviate the loss. And I know some of you are concerned, and we are too, and school districts are concerned too, based on, and this is just a snapshot of our counts from last year and this year, with the minimum staffing level 1 to 15 equals a classroom and so forth. Our counts this year are down, from last year October, and then also for JDEP YSEP, here's our 2-year from last July through now. YSEP has gone down tremendously. JDEP has gone down tremendously. So, and as everyone knows, our funding is all based on counts and so forth. So we don't know the direction the legislature will give ODE for not just our programs, for all the school districts, because we know that school districts are also, their enrollment is down too. So it's just a waiting game. I'm gonna unmute everybody. Any questions or thoughts?
Hi, Sam. This is Karina. I'm wondering, do we have a thought around why the counts are down or why the trends have been going down?
For LTCT?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but probably both also.
And then I think that's a very good question. I have my hypotheses, but others, everyone else statewide, does anybody want to chime in on why they feel why the counts are down tremendously from last year and this year?
Yeah, I have a theory.
Yes, your theories. I know it doesn't. Right, and this is
Well,
this is theories or whatnot.
Attendance is just down all over, and the discussions in our group are that behavioral challenges are just not a priority in the era of distance learning for general educators. So the referrals are down, but we expect that to turn around radically when the closures are lifted.
And this is Candace. I would piggyback on that. One of the reasons we've been able to stay open is when COVID hit, we had our kids were kind of entering more of the stabilization stage. They weren't doing as much acting out or, unsafe behavior. So we've had to be very careful of any kids we've brought in that they would be kids who would not need that level of, service because of unsafe behavior. So once we are able to go back to a normal program without the social distancing and those concerns, we have a healthy wait list. We're serving the kids by distance therapy. The districts are still serving them through education. So if I pick those kids up for education, for CDL education, the numbers would be much higher. But I think everyone's just kind of in a holding pattern at this point, and probably all of us have good wait lists.
Hey, Sam, this is Dan. I concur with that. That's exactly right.
Yeah, this is Brian in Douglas County. I'd agree wholeheartedly, and I really think that once we're back in person, that we're going to see a really large uptick of student enrollment due to the lack of structure that these kids have had since March.
Thanks. I think that's really helpful. It's helpful just to hear from colleagues around the state, because I know COSA also took this up as a legislative priority, or there's talks about it being a legislative priority. And so it'd be good that if we're all saying the same thing to our superintendents and legislators.
Sam, I think you might be muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute myself because I was trying to eliminate the background noise. Okay, so I know it's hard for everyone to see on the spreadsheet because the spreadsheet doesn't differentiate between residential and day treatment, but a good number of our residential programs, their numbers have remained steady, but then some of our day treatment programs are kind of down, like our big residential programs such as like Children's Farm Home. They're pretty much, around there. Tiger Tualatin, the Janus Residential is still there and so forth. And St. Mary's, Northwest Regional ESD, it's still there, but it's our day treatment sites that have gone down, and we had some sites closed down. So, and then for our JDIP and YSEP, in talking with our juvenile justice partners, they've said that some of the kids that like lower level offenses, they're not incarcerating, such as truancy or like other offenses. They're not incarcerating. They're just incarcerating the kids that with serious offenses or that just need to really be there for the safety of the community. So yeah. So that's the thing. I think, and then I think it's like just the kids that need to be there are there. So that's why. So our numbers are down, but a good number are our day treatment sites are, and then some of our sites are down, and so forth. So thank you, Karina, for bringing that question up and then to hear the perspective of others of why, why the counts are down. So, oh, that's not the one. So back to and then, so the next item is our discussion of awarding diplomas in LTCT sites. And this is a discussion for everybody and we want to get people's thoughts and opinions. And what occurred was when our ODE data people were looking at the diploma, the cohort graduation data, they're seeing some anomalies where some LTCT sites were awarding the diploma, even though they're in ESD, the school district where the program resides was awarding the diploma, not the ESD. And then some at another site, the ESD that had the program was awarding the diploma, not the school district. So for data consistency sake and so forth, they asked for input on what should it be. And what it is too was in 2018, it was brought to our attention that the state statute that has that is the diploma statute only has school district or public charter school, or district trust may award a diploma. It's always, a school district or public charter school. It's not an ESD. ESDs are not listed there. So in 2018, a House bill was introduced for YSEP and JDEP that allow, and then two-way bills, if it's enrolled, that means that's pretty much it's done deal. It allowed ESDs to award diplomas in JDEP under the JDEP program and allowed ESDs to award diplomas under YSEP. So if we want if we want to go the route of the ESDs awarding the diplomas, we might have to amend our legislative concept to add similar language into our LTCT. Or do we want the school district where the program resides to be awarding the diplomas? And then, for instance, even for Portland Public Schools, they are providing the education in two sites in Park Rosa School District. So should Portland Public Schools be awarded a diploma or should Portland Public School? And I had some discussion with some people and they said they would rather have the educational provider, whether it's ESD or school district, provide the diploma because they're the ones that are actually doing the educating and so forth. But then others may have a different thought or opinion. And then let's talk about should the ESD or school district that are providing it, or should the district where the program resides be awarding diploma? What are everyone's thoughts? And I will unmute everybody.
Hey Sam, this is Krista Slaughter from Forest Grove School District. I know we award directly from our district diplomas. I imagine that is just a little bit more streamlined, easy because we hold the records and we have the information and the data, and it's really not an issue or a problem to be able to distribute diplomas from our program.
Thank you, Krista. And then I'm going to ask your opinion on the second part of our discussion point. And then the second part is, when you award a diploma, is it under Forest Groves' district ID or is it under 3559, the LTCT ID? And then that's another point of discussion for everybody. Any other thoughts on how people are awarding diplomas while their kids are in LTCT?
Sam, this is Brian from Douglas ESD. My thought would be that it should come from the resident district, not the district where the child is attending the LTCT. For one, we have the district of residence maintains their records, and on top of that, I just feel like for the students' benefit, that's the district that they belong to. And it would probably feel better to have their diploma granted from that district.
And Brian, do you speak towards that for day treatment or for residential? Because I know you have both.
No, we just have day treatment, and I'm speaking for day treatment, but it's really just my personal opinion. I mean, we're only a K-5 program, so we're not awarding diplomas.
Right. So if the roles, if Horizon became an LTCT and those residential kids, would you rather have, would you want the Horizon kids still be awarded by the resident district?
Now you've got me thinking, because that to me seems entirely different. Since those students are all in foster care and may have moved around to several districts, I have to think on that one.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, you bring up a good point, because residential kids, they're in foster care and they may not have been in the resident district for 2 or 3 years, or for a year. What are other people's thoughts?
So I'm kind of drawing on my experience with juvenile detention, where this does come up. It doesn't come up very often in day treatment, but I can see all kinds of headaches involved in trying to reconcile diploma requirements for kids coming and going from a variety of places. It's a broad region for us. So our fallback has just been to fall upon the contracting district, North Wasco, and apply those diploma requirements. We're not an ESD, so it's a little more straightforward, but that's how we're handling it in the Gorge.
This is Casey from Eugene. We have a residential program, and the group that we subcontract with also has an alt ed accredited high school, and we have their the diplomas go through that accredited alt ed program that's in that with that agency. My preference would be to not have it be ESD. That I would just prefer my district do it, or we keep doing what we're doing.
Or like the education provider, yes. Yeah, so I guess the question would be the education provider. It could be the ASD, ESD, or like in your case, another accredited educational entity.
And this is Candace again. One of the things, we started our high school program, and it's at Springfield and we've been operating now for a couple of years. We started with freshmen and sophomores who are now, of course, seniors, and we've got a couple of 5-year kids we're working with. What we're finding is, again, as someone else mentioned, reconciling the credits, partial credits from all over, that these kids move so much that they've got a partial credit here, partial credit there. Some of them, most of them are all on some sort of online learning, and they are with us. And we've had difficulty, if they were only on online learning for a short period of time, getting those credits to transfer into the program we're in. And then knowing that the online options that the district offers for the high school kids is too rigorous for most of them to complete. So we've had some go to alt diplomas, some are working toward a GED, but it's been real difficult. And I think, the confusion is on both parts, on our part and also on the district part, not sure how to progress with this. So I think any definitive guidance that ODE can come up with for this that's more specific to these kids and how we compile those credits would be very helpful in the future.
Sam, this is Karina Wolf again from Portland Public, and I would say recommend that we go with the education, who's providing the education, for multiple reasons. One reason being just with regards to records and services, but another reason being one of the things that we struggle with and advocate for is that these students be seen as part of our district. And so these kids are often invisible in larger systems. And so when we think about how we get to celebrate the education and the good teaching and the good programming for our day in residential treatment kids, it would not serve us as school districts to have that taken to by ESDs or by other places by their home district versus where they're served. So I would say where they're receiving their education.
I totally agree.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. And then I'd like to point out this and this section, and I pointed out this previously, where the diploma statute says that, and then a lot of our kids are foster kids. So even if a school district has more requirements in the Oregon diploma, kids can get an Oregon diploma. They don't have to go for, the school district. For instance, if a school district requires 27 credits instead of 24, they can get the Oregon diploma that has a 24 and so forth. And it says here, any kid that is like a foster, homeless, or runaway, the school districts have to accept the credits earned in another program. And the JDEP statute and the YSEP statute are very similar, where it says they have to accept the credits earned by children in another program or school and so forth. And it's here too. So yeah, so it might be where some of the language that benefits JDEP, YSEP, and here might be, we might look at adding into our residential treatment program, day treatment. Is that okay with everybody? That's what I'm kind of hearing?
Yes.
Sam, this is Brian again. When I was referring to the districts of residence, I was thinking about in our long-term care and treatment program, it being a temporary placement. When you brought up horizons, and now that I've been listening to this conversation, we would probably follow the Roseburg School District for graduation requirements, because they're the school district that is responsible for FAPE for those students.
And Brian brings up a good point. And here's this, like when a kid enters a day treatment or residential treatment program, the responsibility of educating the kid falls onto the school district where the program is located, but the resident district is still responsible. The residency does not transfer over. So like here, like number 4, it says a school district where a student is a resident while in day treatment. So, and so basically, when a kid enters day treatment or resident treatment, the obligation of FAPE or the obligation responsibility to educate the kid falls on the school district where the program is located, but the child is still a resident of where they're a resident before. And then as Brian mentioned, that can be really tricky in identifying, especially if kids went from one LTCT setting to another and determining which is ultimately the resident district. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody. And then next, on the flip side, when we award diplomas, LTCT awards diplomas, should they go under 3559 or school district? And 359 is the LTCT district ID. Now, so who would get the diploma credit? And then here's the flip side too now. If it's 3559, the 3559 district will get the diploma graduation rate credit, but also on the flip side, which is right now, also gets the dropout rate. And also, you know, the SBAC scores and so forth. Because for Portland Public Schools, the DART kids, because the DART school kids are under 3559, those kids fall under LTCT, not under PPS. And LTCT, our historical dropout rate is here. And JDEP is tremendously higher. And hospitals is tremendously higher too. And part of the reason why JDEP and hospitals are higher is they have a large number of out-of-state kids that are that are lodged in these in the hospital programs or in the JDEP programs. We have some like in the Dalles, we have kids from Washington, and it goes both ways. We have Oregon counties that send kids out of state, like Malheur County. They send their juvenile detention kids over to Idaho. And our Northwest sends their kids to Washington too, but then the Dalles, their facility receives kids. So it goes both ways. So that's why, I'm not saying that's the only reason why, but that's one of the reasons why JDEP has a higher number of dropouts, because if a kid doesn't enroll in another public K-12 school, the last school of record gets the dropout rate. So, and in LTCT last 18-19, our dropout rate was 8%. YSEP is lower and so forth, but the statewide average is that. So the question is, and of course, we're not even talking about SBAC, you know, the other scores and so forth. So I think, are there any objections to, like, if we award diplomas, we continue where on the resident code it'd be 3559 instead of the ESD or the school district? Any thoughts? I think I unmuted everybody. Yes, I did unmute everybody. And people, feel free to email me or give me a call after today, you know, and then to discuss. For those of you that feel uncomfortable speaking in a publicly in a large group, I'm always available for a phone call or email chat. And then I have a meeting to report this on Tuesday at 11 a.m. I need to report back to the powers that be at ODE on Tuesday at 11 a.m. What's our thoughts on this topic?
Sam, this is Candace again. I guess the only question I would have is, eventually, what's the possibilities of the LTCT sites that stand alone, like we do, to be able to become accredited in a way that we can award the diploma? That would be my goal.
Oh, that's a very excellent question, Candace. Okay, so for the sake of everybody, this is Kongjia. This is now the accreditation. This is the accreditation and certification. This is the body that accredits schools. And here, if you go here, you can find an accredited school or whatnot. And here you could, gosh, I wonder what happened there. It was working yesterday. Find an accredited school. Here you can find, you type in the name or city, state, and like for instance, let's say Eugene. You type United States, choose Oregon. Oh, I wonder why it's not showing, but it shows up. It normally shows up. United States. Candace, what's your zip code for Springfield?
Springfield is 97477.
Here. It shows up as Springfield High School, Willamette Leadership University Academy, Academy of Arts. So these are the accredited high schools here. And
Mhm.
so you can, and then when you apply for accreditation in Kongjia, they have, it's called special service or special purpose schools. Um, I forgot where it is. Special and darn, special purpose schools. Um, I don't, I know it's listed there, like how you can become a accredited under special purpose here, special purpose schools, or you could be what Multnomah ESD did. They were accredited for all of their schools under Multnomah ESD. But then if for your child center purpose, you could go under a special purpose school, and they have different standards and so forth. And these are generally like our residential programs and so forth. So you could, and our detention centers, our correctional settings. So this is something that you would look at. And I know a lot of our LTCT programs that do have high schools are accredited. Yes. Does that answer your question,
you.
Candice?
Yes, it does. I'll look at that. Thank you.
Yes. And Kongjia used to be Northwest Accreditation Council. Then they changed their name to Advanced Ed. Now they're here. And in the past, whenever they did accreditation visitations or whatnot, I participated on some of them if my schedule allowed. So, but I don't know about this year or next year and so forth. Yeah. Any other thoughts? So if we do award diplomas, even if it's Forest Grove, it'll, instead of being Forest Grove, it'll be 3559. Any other thoughts? Hey Dan, for Paddock, does Dallas School District award the diploma or does Paddock?
There we go. It's Dallas School District does.
Right. Because they provide that, even though they're on your day treatment and you provide the EAs, Dallas School District provides the teachers. That's right. Right?
Correct.
Yes. Right. So so something to think about for those day treatment sites that are currently elementary or middle school and thinking of high school, you know, credits, accreditation, awarding diplomas, and so forth. That's another. Those are some of the other things to take into account. As Brian was mentioning, and if you have some residential programs that are currently not LTCT but may become LTCT in 22, 23, some of the other things that will come into play. Any other thoughts or comments on this topic of awarding diplomas? So I'm going to report back general consensus. The diploma should be awarded by the educational provider, whether it be a school district, ESD, or you know, a accredited nonprofit, and under 3559. Okay. And our last item on our agenda, any other questions or thoughts before we end our meeting? And I think everyone is unmuted. Any other thoughts or questions? If not, please stay safe, stay warm, and please remain healthy. And I wish the best to everybody. And you guys, and then feel free to call me or email me anytime. And I'm listing my cell phone number, not my office number, because I'm not in the office. And if I'm able to, I'll answer. If I'm unable to answer, I will like call you back. So if you need to reach me, please call me on my cell phone number. Yep. And if that's it, thank you, everybody. Have a good day. And if there's those of you that felt uncomfortable speaking in the meeting, feel free to give me a call or email me your thoughts and your opinions. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.